My wife of 19 years told me about her friend setting her up on a blind date. She had a girls' night out with her friend Tanisha. Tanisha set her up, apparently, with a guy that she had slept with a few weeks earlier. Tanisha was hooking up with someone else and set my wife up with the past hookup. My wife went out at 7 p.m. and came home at 3 a.m. The confession came completely out of the blue. She said she was sorry and wanted to work on our marriage, waterworks, and begging for forgiveness. She said that nothing happened between her and the guy because Tanisha had slept with him. She knew agreeing to meet this guy was wrong and going to meet him was even worse. I don't believe that nothing happened like she is saying. She also said that the guy works at a sawmill and you make more money. I think that's why I am the better option. Basically, she was confessing to actively trying to replace me. If she could find someone with a better paying job, this post would be much different. Not long after this girl's night out and before the confession, my wife and Tanisha had a total meltdown of their friendship. Suddenly they went from best friends to Tanisha is a liar and a manipulative, jealous person, according to my wife. I think the confession, or partial confession, was to keep Tanisha from telling me about her sleeping with the guy. Gaslighting me on the truth of what really happened by telling me only partially about it. Only enough to look bad, but not the whole ugly truth of what happened. Honesty. I didn't need to be told everything that happened. The holes in the story were too big. Little coincidences that occurred around that time put everything in perfect focus. When she told me about it, I lost all feeling for her. I just went numb and didn't even get angry. I'm done. Just working on my exit strategy at this point, getting financials in order, a place to move into, etc. It really sucks that she would be willing to throw away 19 years of marriage with no regard for anything, including our 2 children. Update. She is in full-blown panic mode. Recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder where her white blood cells are attacking her lungs. This causes asthma attacks that normal medication can't correct. The only drug on the market that controls the condition has a copay of $13,000 after her Medicaid. If I didn't have really good health insurance through my employment, there isn't any possibility of her being able to afford it. She is trying everything to reconcile, even setting up couples counseling. We made it through 2.5 sessions, explains why she came clean on partial truth and wants to fix things. Counseling went the way I figured it would. Every session was all about everything I had done wrong ever, including my working 50 hours each week to make ends meet because she has partial disability and doesn't work. I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Everything was brought up, including our 2 children. Well, except I was informed that the mention of her date night was off limits. About halfway through the 3rd session, the counselor looked her in the eye and asked, "If you have such a high-power radar to detect what everyone else is doing wrong, point that radar at yourself and tell me what you do wrong." The proverbial shit hit the fan. My soon-to-be ex-wife started yelling at the counselor and wanted to know why she was attacking her when we were there, so she can fix me. After a few minutes of back and forth, my soon-to-be ex-wife stormed out, crying. The counselor told me that my soon-to-be ex-wife has a deep hatred for me, and I don't think this marriage can be salvaged. Basically, my response was, yup and nope. I informed the counselor that I appreciated her time and we wouldn't be back. She offered me individual counseling. I informed her that I probably would in the future and proceeded to tell her about the taboo topic. Needless to say, it didn't surprise her and confirmed her suspicion. Needless to say, the entire trip back to the house was about what a quack the therapist was. I've basically been on autopilot when I'm at the house. I refer to it as the house because it isn't a home anymore. I've moved into the spare bedroom. As far as I'm concerned, I may be married, but I no longer have a wife. If she didn't need good medical insurance coverage, she would still be on the hunt. I don't need to track down Tanisha to get the whole story. I live in a small community of less than 900 people. I commute to work in a bigger city daily. Monday of this week, while at the only grocery store in the community, guess who ran into my soon-to-be ex-wife? It was none other than the blind date guy. Small towns, right? It was bound to happen. I was at the end of the aisle when he walked up to her. He is a small guy, maybe 59 and 150 pounds. She had her back to me and didn't realize where I was. He asked her out again, right in front of me. She did decline though. That's when I walked up. I asked her if he was the guy she went out with about 2 months ago. He asked, "What's it to me?" I backed him up against the shelves and told him that I've been her husband for 19 years. I thought he was going to soil himself. I'm 62 and 250 pounds and muscular. She tried to get me to back off. I growled at her to shut up. She just better listen. Immediately, she started crying. I asked if they fucked. He swallowed hard and said yes. She cried harder. I told him to never let me see him again. He apologized for everything and basically ran out of the store. Her affair partner outed her by being in the wrong place at exactly the perfect time. If it hadn't been him, I would have eventually run into Tanisha to get the story. Needless to say, most of the time I'm on autopilot. It's as if all emotion is gone. I have to fake happiness while I'm with my children. I don't know if it is an emotional self-defense mechanism to keep things from falling further apart. I know I should be in some kind of distress over this. One day, it's going to hit hard. I no longer trust the things I know to be true. Do my children really love me? Or do they love the things I give them? Do my parents? Do they only love the fact that I got good grades in school, never got into trouble? The only thing I'm certain of is I can't stay in this sham of a marriage. I get up, go to work, barely eat or sleep. The only people I've told about this are strangers on the internet. I have no one to talk to about this. I go from one day to the next pretending I'm normal. Maybe my soon-to-be ex-wife was right. The therapist does need to fix me. Just a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps me a lot. Now moving on to our second story. My wife is cheating with my co-worker. I'm 33 male and my wife is 30 female. We have been together for 11 years and I thought everything was good between us until recently. For some context, I work as a dispatcher for truckers and it's a pretty good job. I get good benefits and I make enough where we can both be comfortable. My wife had a job with building gaming computers, but she lost her job due to cutbacks, so I've been the sole earner. I've been picking up a lot of hours, and one day my car battery died on me, so I had my wife take me to work. When we made it to the parking lot, I saw my co-worker, Andrew. I waved at him, and he walked over to say hello, and that's when I introduced him to my wife. She got the car to shake his hand, and he looked at me and said, "You never told me that your wife was so beautiful." She blushed and I laughed, not thinking about it, saying, "Yeah, I'm lucky to have her," and then we both walked into work after I kissed my wife goodbye. A few days later, I got my car good and running, so I've been going to work like normal. During lunch, I couldn't help but notice my wife's car in the parking lot. So I walked towards it and saw her and Andrew talking and eating lunch in her car. I got upset, but kept it cool and knocked on her window. She opened the door and said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you that I and Andrew were having lunch today together." Then Andrew said, "I hope you are not angry." I took a deep breath and said, "No," and I turned around and walked to the car. Because if I said anything else, it was going to start an argument. but I can feel my wife getting frustrated because I walk away like that. Later that day, when I got home, she blew up one, saying that I embarrassed her in front of Andrew. I said, "Why do you even care? And when did you even start hanging out with him?" She said, "I'm a grown-ass woman, and I don't have to tell you shit," and then walk off. Since then, she has been distant, and I notice she's been on her phone, more calling and texting her friends. I just know that it's Andrew, but I don't want to accuse her. Then I'm wrong, and I look like an asshole, but at the same time, I want to say something. I don't know what to do. Update. I talked to my friend, and he gave me an Apple AirTag. I'm gonna put it in my wife's car and trail to see if I can find anything, and collect evidence, so I don't get fucked if I'm in court if we do end up divorcing. A part of me doesn't want to do it because I don't know if I can handle the pain. This went through a lot, and been through a lot of shit, and I can't believe she really going to throw it away this easily, but I'm still gonna have to do it. Update number 2. When I started to suspect it, my friend gave me his AirDrop and I hid it in my wife's car and followed her. She told me that she was going to see a friend, but I didn't believe it, so I followed her in my friend's car to make sure she couldn't spot me. After a 20-minute drive, she drove up to a hotel. I'm not gonna lie, I felt sick and my heart kept pounding. I was really hoping that I was wrong, and she was seeing a friend, but instead, I saw Andrew waving at my girlfriend, and then I saw her running and jumping on this guy and kissing him. I was so hurt and angry, I wanted to get out and beat Andrew's ass and tell my wife to get all of her shit out of the house, but I didn't. Instead, I took out my phone, took some pictures, and drove off when I saw them walk into the hotel. I went home and cried, screamed, yelled, and punched a hole in the wall. I called my friend to come over, and I showed him the pictures and started crying again. I screamed, 11 years down the fucking drain. My friend gave me a hug and told me to get a lawyer and to keep stacking up evidence against her. I didn't know if I could keep up the face anymore, but I told my friend I'll try. So during these past weeks, I've been stacking up evidence and keeping my distance. I've seen them go to restaurants, movies, and hotels, and every time it hurt, but I tough it out. She always told me she was going out with her friends or family, but I never called her and said okay. I thought I could keep it up for at least a few more days, especially because the lawyer I'm seeing says that I have more than evidence to make sure I win and keep everything when we divorce, but I think I messed up yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday, and I wasn't really feeling it. My wife didn't even tell me happy birthday, but her parents did. When I went to work, my co-workers got me a cake and some gifts. I tried holding back the tears, because for a moment I forgot about everything at least, until I saw Andrew. He got me a gift, and I faked smile and said thank you. When I opened, it was the comic Batman, Death of the Family, and I actually surprised because no one at work knew I was into comics, and DC was my favorite. When I told Andrew that, he said my wife told him, and then all I saw was red. Next thing I know, my co-workers are holding me back, and Andrew is in the corner covering his nose and yelling, "What the fuck?" And then I screamed, "I know you've been fucking my wife." Everyone got silent and looked at Andrew, and he tried explaining it to me, but I didn't care. All I wanted to do was beat his ass until he stopped moving. But then my boss came in and sent Andrew home and took me into his office, and I told him everything and showed him some of the pictures. He apologized to me and gave me some time off to sort everything, and he will deal with Andrew. Shit really went south when I got home, and my wife was waiting. She blew up on saying that I was wrong for doing that to Andrew, and that she talked him out of pressing charges for hitting him. She kept yelling and yelling, saying, "Andrew makes me feel like a real woman, and treats me right, and knows how to make me feel special." I finally popped and just yelled, "I don't give a fuck." She looked surprised and went silent, and I kept going saying, If he makes you feel special, go live with him and have him support you, because I'm done." Then she had the nerve to cry and say that she was sorry. She tried saying how Andrew caught her at a moment of weakness, but I just took a deep breath and told her to get a lawyer because we're getting a divorce. She really tried to apologize and said that she couldn't afford one and that we needed to work on ourselves, but I just looked at her and told her to pack up. She kept crying and begging, but I just got her suitcase and called her sister to come pick her up. She locked herself in the bathroom, saying she won't come out until I was willing to work things out with her. I kept telling her that I didn't want to work anything out and that we needed space, because when I saw her, I felt angry and hurt. She finally got out and apologized, and then she packed her shit and waited outside for her sister. Now I'm finally in the house alone, and I can't stop crying. I feel so many things, and I just don't know anymore. Sorry if I was all over the place with my post. I'm just feeling horrible and emotional, but I am planning on seeing a therapist soon. I'll definitely update everyone once all this blows over. I'd like to thank everyone again for the advice and support. This is the last update from the user on this story. There are no further updates as of now. If the user releases an update in the future, I will post it with a part 2, so make sure to subscribe to this channel.